Hi everybody, Sean from Media Assault here, and today I'm going to be doing a review of Heavy Rain, a PlayStation 3 video game that's been getting a lot of press lately. And it's a fairly new release. It's been out about 2 weeks at the time I'm recording this video on March 14th, 2010. And I just completed it this weekend. Thought I'd share my thoughts on it. Here is the box art for the game. And basically it shows the four main protagonists of the game, and kind of go through this. This is Norman Jayden, FBI agent. This is Madison Page, she's a photojournalist in the game. And you've got Ethan Mars, who is the father of one of the victims of the serial killer that you're tracking in this game. And then you've got Scott Shelby, who is a private investigator, and he's looking into the case of the Origami Killer, who is a serial killer who preys on young children. And basically the thing that makes this game unique is its control scheme. It's basically a video game version of one of those old choose-your-own-adventure books from way back when. And if you're not familiar with what one of those was, it's basically you're reading a story and you get to a particular part in the story, and if you want to see this happen, turn to page 43. If you want to see this happen, turn to page 47. And you could basically make your own narrative of the game, or of the book rather, as you're going along. Well, that's basically what Heavy Rain is. It's sort of an interactive version of one of those, using a really unique control scheme. And I've got a PS3 controller here, and basically what this game requires you to do is, this is the R2 button here, and this will allow you to move your character around. You press that and you move the right thumbstick and your character will move around. Some actions will appear on screen requiring you to just move the right thumbstick. If you press the L2 button, that'll show you what your character is thinking at any given moment, and it'll show a particular button that you can press to take action on that thought. And then some of the other movements will display on screen, and it'll show, and I'll show you in the clip that I have, it'll show you some of this in action. Some of the actions will just require you to press one of the face buttons, or you'll have to press a combination of like R1 and L1 and then the face buttons on the controller. So it's kind of interesting. And basically what happens, like those old choose-your-own-adventure books, you'll get to a particular part in the story and you have to decide what you want to do. Say, do you want to interrogate someone in a harsh manner? Do you want to interrogate them in sort of a good cop manner? You can do that kind of thing. Do you want to investigate a certain object? Do you completely miss it altogether? Supposedly, every action that you take in this game, according to developer Quantic Dream, will have an impact on the final outcome of the game. And basically, you play as those four characters that I showed you. Each one of them has a relationship to the other that is unveiled as the game unfolds. And you investigate this case of this Origami Killer. And the Origami Killer is named as such because with each of the victims is left an origami figure and an orchid. The cool thing about this game is there's basically no do-overs. So if you make a mistake, and you will make a mistake, you can't go back and fix it. Like those old books, if you didn't like what happened on page 43, you could flip to page 47 and go that route. In this game, whatever happens, happens. And it is possible for each of these four characters to die before the game is over. And in my first playthrough, and I did play through the game only once so far, although I immediately wanted to play it again as soon as I was done, in the first playthrough that I had of this game, one of the characters did die, in a rather grisly fashion, I might add. And I couldn't go back and go, oh, I don't want to try that. I want to try that again. I want to, press a different button or whatever. You can't do that. The character's dead, and you have to face the consequences of that fact. Also, it is possible to do things that you didn't intend to do, by mistake, just merely by pressing the wrong button. Another example, I was interrogating somebody, had a gun out on them, and when your character gets kind of mentally frazzled, the controller options that pop up on the screen, they get a little blurry or they jumble around, and they don't really give you a whole lot of detail as to what each one will do sometimes. So my character was kind of tense, and this thing was moving around, and I pressed the R1 button, and I accidentally shot somebody. Didn't want to shoot him, shot him, killed him, he's dead. There's no do-overs. You can't go back and say, oh, well, I didn't mean to shoot him, let's pick up from there and start again. He's dead, that's it, done. And you have to face the consequences. That's what I really like about Heavy Rain. It's realistic in that there's no supernatural stuff going on here. This game basically deals with mental illness in a very frank and kind of unflinching fashion. It's very adult. There's a lot of violence in this game. There is a lot of, adult language. There's nudity and sexuality in this game. I like that. Not because it's, titillating. It's because it respects the fact that, hey, there are adults out there that play video games, and we don't have to pander to children to make a video game. We can make an adult video game for adults, and that's what Heavy Rain is. It is an adult game. It's rated mature, and there's nothing in it that's any worse than what you'd find in a rated R movie, but it is definitely not for kids, and I like that. A couple of things that I don't like about Heavy Rain is the control scheme, which I just told you about. Sometimes it will not only just cause you to make a mistake that you didn't want to do. That's part of the replay value, so that's not a huge thing. But sometimes it just doesn't work very well. You'll be trying to navigate your way through an apartment or something that hardly has any furniture, and for whatever reason you're bumping against stuff and walking into walls and stuff. Sometimes it just doesn't seem to work very well. It doesn't seem to be as intuitive as it could be. Most of the time it works really well. Sometimes not so much. The other thing is that there's some kind of odd glitches that'll happen from time to time. As I was playing through, audio would disappear, just cut out for a little while. Also, objects would kind of float in space or kind of move around, not connected to anything. As an example, there was a scene where one of the characters' children goes into the kitchen to get a snack, and he goes up and he reaches up to a cabinet to get something, and he pulls it down and he puts it on a table, and magically it's floating above the table. And then he walks away acting like he's carrying it. It's still floating above the table. He sits down in the living room on the couch, and magically it just appears in his hand. It's nothing that ruins the game or the experience, but it kind of takes you out of the full immersion in this story and keeps reminding you, hey, I'm playing a game. But other than that, though, there's not a whole lot about this game that I didn't like. The graphics, while not extraordinary, are really good. This is a PlayStation 3 exclusive. This isn't something that couldn't be done on another system. Xbox 360, I'm sure, could handle this just fine. But it's not unpleasant to look at, we'll put it that way. The music, I kind of talked about the soundtrack a little earlier. The soundtrack is fantastic. Really atmospheric soundtrack. And I don't know, I'll have to put up an annotation who did the soundtrack. But it's very, very well done, and I do believe it's available on iTunes for purchase, and I may actually do that. And I don't normally buy video game soundtracks, but this one I might pick up. It's not the most uplifting soundtrack in the world, but it is still really well done, and it sets the tone for the game fantastically. Game length is about 8 to 10 hours, roughly. You can immediately play through it again, and you probably will want to. I believe there are something like 250 possible endings to this game. I'm not sure where I heard that, so if I am wrong, don't crucify me. But there are multiple endings to this game. I didn't get the quote-unquote best ending when I played through this game. And it is pretty liberal with the PlayStation 3 trophies, so if you're somebody who likes to pick those up and collect them, it's not hard to get trophies on this game. And there are probably some people who are going to complain, well, there isn't much to do in it, you just press buttons and watch a movie. But that's not really true, because the decisions that you make in the game, and the game gives you plenty of decisions to make, really do affect the final outcome, and because there are multiple outcomes. but I would recommend picking it up. 8.5 out of 10. So pick up, heavy ring. All right. Stay tuned to Media Assault channel here on YouTube for more movie, music, and video game reviews coming at you real soon. So take it easy. Take care.